Yes, welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is Monday. It is 6 p.m. It begs the question, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Perchy, on a day where Edu has joined Nottingham Forest, Ottoman is off to Galatasaray, Idrissa Gueye has signed a new contract, and Tottenham are putting clauses into contracts just in case we win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. What are we doing here?
Oh, by the way, the shamelessness of these clauses.
Oh, you've gone on mute.
I don't know why it will put me on mute, but I do find it funny, by the way, these clauses, that if they are to be true, that's almost the shamelessness of Tottenham Hotspur, by the way. Again,
Oh, you're on mute again.
Okay, you may not be able to hear me well, but StreamYard keeps putting me on mute. My mic keeps glitching out, but I'll fix it in a second. But do you not find it funny, though, that we are putting clauses like that in? I think it's funny. I kind of almost go, fair play. It's the sort of thing, by the way, that we end up going to win the league now because of it. Now, if the clause doesn't get put in and it's something like that doesn't happen, like it'll be, if Mohamed Kudus has 20 goal contributions next season, he gets 15, but then we win the league. Like, it's a sort of Spursy sort of behaviour now, but I almost rate it. Like, it's shameless enough.
Yeah, but I'd much prefer it if my chairman just paid what was needed. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like clearly this is the guy they want. Clearly this is the only player we've bid for so far this window. And you get to the stage where you're 10 million away and we're starting to go, I'll tell you what, we'll give you 50. But if we do win the league, and of course, people are going to laugh. It's like me saying to you, Perchy, I'll give you 500 grand for your house. I don't know how much your house is. I'll give you 500 grand for your house. But if I win world's sexiest man alive in the next 10 years, I'll give you another 100 grand. Ain't going to happen.
Hey,
Ain't going to happen.
I think we should all be going in for. I'm gonna go and buy a ticket to watch Tottenham play. I'm gonna give you £30 up front, but if you win the game, I'll give you 20. If you don't win the game, if you break those clauses, if we score more than 3 goals, I'll put an extra bonus of an extra tenner in. Like, I think life should go by presumptuous payments. So I'm going to buy a laptop now. I'm going to go down to PC World, buy a laptop, but I'm going to give you 200 up front. But if I don't really like it in 6 months' time, then you don't get that clause. And if I only use it that much, life should be like that. Look, we should have a world of Daniel Levy's that buy in presumptions. It's crazy. I think it's hilarious at this stage.
What about going to a restaurant, a really expensive restaurant, and saying, I'm going to pay for my starter. If in the next week I haven't thrown up, I will pay for my main course and my dessert as well. Like, listen, it's funny to a point. And listen, again, I don't know. I'm sure there's some truth to it. I'm sure there is. But
the thing is though, what it probably is though, it's. I think this is my theory on it. It probably has a part of the clause, because what they say is they don't actually quantify the amount. The clauses won't be one clause. It won't be, well, we'll pay you an extra £12.5 million if Tottenham win the league. It will probably be something on the breach of $500,000 if we win the league. But it's easy for journalists to sensationalize it because there'll be clauses for how many appearances he makes, how many goals he scores, how many assists he has. There'll be all of those sort of clauses. But it's good for the journos to sensationalize in it and going, oh, well, it's £12.5 million in add-ons, and part of that will be if Tottenham win the league or the Champions League. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, just get the deal done. And I know, listen, I get it that transfers aren't that simple. However, the player wants to come.
Yeah.
Right? Personal terms aren't an issue. The clubs are talking. When you get to this stage of a transfer, it now is about, right, you've got to put the money down, right? It's I don't like it when people say that about any player. Like, oh, we want Kimmich, all that nonsense. But right now, we know, right? If we put down 60 million, I don't know, 60 million plus, then do it. 60 million will give you an extra 10 if we win the league, right? It don't matter. But 50 million when they want 60, you can see why Daniel Levy gets his reputation, right?
Could there be a flip side to this, though? And I'm not here defending Daniel Levy before anyone says that. Because could this be West Ham more being argumentative on all of this? And hear me out, by the way, I don't know. But the way that West Ham fans have reacted to it all, would you not think if you were Sullivan and goal going, it's just Sullivan that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gold passed away, didn't he?
Passed away, didn't he? Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But it would, in their reaction, go, well, if we don't want to look like we're giving in immediately, and go, we have to show a little bit of perception that we are fighting long. So I'm not here defending Daniel Levy, but there has to be some level of that. Look at the reaction. Imagine if West Ham had accepted XYZ. Let's just say Spurs offered £50 million and the 12.5 million of add-ons was add-ons that was relative to what was a need, what they would have agreed on. But they've looked at the reaction and gone, we better reject that now. We need to make sure that we are showing that we're fighting tooth and nail to get the best value for this player. Like, I don't know, but I think there has to be some level of that as well.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree. You've got West Ham fans talking about protesting if it happens. Yeah. Some are going, oh, he's not that good. Others are going, oh, my God, I can't believe one of our best players might be going to them lot. So I get it. Yeah, at some point, Sullivan is going to have to say, oh, hang on, we're going to have to make this look difficult. But I reckon, if we get to 60 million, I think the deal gets done. Yeah. I think that's fair for all parties.
I think it will be 60 plus 5 in add-ons. That's how I think the fee will be, around that price tag. But it is. I do look. What you mentioned there was quite funny about West Ham, though. What I did find funny, they went from he's crap to we're protesting if you sell him to Tottenham. Yeah. It's almost like it's the sort of thing we would do. By the way, that's the sort of thing we would do. It'd be like if we sold West Ham to Arsenal, we'd go, oh, he's crap, to you sell him, we're protesting. Like it's similar to what we would be like.
I think it's the same as everything. Like Lubo does this to me a lot. Big up Lubo if you're watching. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're doing something on holiday.
He's on holiday, isn't he? Big up Lubo.
But I bet you he's still watching in some way, shape or form.
I bet he's bothering the person next to him on the sunbed about Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
You heard about that Daniel guy?
I reckon he's like me on holiday, I reckon. So like when myself and the other half, we're in a restaurant and you're sitting next to a couple and are they from England? And you're like, hello, mate, who do you support? And you get into it. I reckon Lubo is that guy.
I bet Lubo looks out for the towels with the football towels on the sunbed. I'm going to sit next to them because I can have a chinwag with them all day.
But what he does, he says to me things like, I remember messaging him and said the first time it was announced that we actually did want Kudus, not one of these, Spurs are linked to Douglas Luiz. We'll talk about that later, but not one of those links, but like a proper Spurs are about to bid.
Yeah.
I bet you, Lubo said to me, well, I must tell you, my West Ham mate. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like asking 5 of us Spurs people who all string together to have the same opinion on Romero, on Kulu, on Solanke. You'd have Spurs fans saying, oh, West Ham, don't buy Solanke. He's crap. You'd have others going, can't believe we're going to let Solanke go to West Ham. He's brilliant. It is how it is. But look, I just think once it hits this number, I think once we get to 6, I think it gets done. But it is the once bitten 400 times a shy, isn't it? We've been here so many times, Perchy.
Sure.
That all of us default to, he's going to fuck it up. We all default to that, don't we?
No, I get that. And I think, look, as long as it's done this week, I think then we can all probably get it to the stage. And I agree. I think it will come out that it will be 60 million quid with 5 million of add-ons, and the 60 million quid is spaced over 3 years or something like that, XYZ. In theory, it will probably be that. I agree. My mate's a West Ham fan as well. When I spoke to him, and I'll read out what he said, actually. I went, we're signing Kudus. Give me the lowdown. His reply was, you'll sign him, and because he has the point to prove, he'll play really well. And you'll think you've signed a great player. As soon as we took a dip in form, though, you could tell we couldn't be asked and looked like the laziest player on the pitch. Has Saudi written all over it if it doesn't work out for Spurs. And I said, my reply was, he said all that. I went, I like him a lot. So do I. Really not consistent, though, and not convinced he has a great attitude. But who knows? Could be good for you guys, depending on how you do this season. And then I replied, player on the back of the shirt. Not sure about that, he said. We'll have this conversation at the end of the season, and surprise we're open to selling to Spurs. To be fair, if it does go through to do amazing, the owners are going to get slaughtered, which is a fair assessment from a West Ham fan.
But let me ask you, right? Something he's just said there, your mate, and loads of people, we all use this word, right? The word we use is consistent.
Yeah.
Anyone name me wingers that we could buy that are consistent?
No, of course, there's not. The problem is when we hear about consistency, I think what happens with consistency is we use that on what everyone does is look at very black and white numbers. So, he hasn't scored that many goals this season or got that many assists. He hasn't been consistent. Well, a player like Mohamed Kudus, though, in a team like West Ham, by the way, that was struggling, it will be like Spurs fans right now saying to Atletico Madrid fans, he's good on his day, but he hasn't been very consistent. So you've got in the theory of it, we wouldn't. But do you get my point? He's still a good defender. He's a very good defender. But we had an awful season. So if we're going to use the not consistent card to not sign a player, surely we've got to look in the mirror and go, well, hang on a minute. Then if we're going to not want to buy Kudus for not being consistent enough, then we should have every right to want to sell Romero, right? It goes both ways.
This is my point. I think when you go outside the top clubs, how many players are massively consistent? Surely there's a reason that they're at the clubs they're at. And what I mean by that is there's very few examples I think you could give going down. So, for example, Mbuemo's just had a great, consistent year, right? Yes. What about the 2-3 years before that? Why is no one, in all these talks of saying, I want Mbuemo, why is no one mentioning the 2 or 3 years before? But with Kudus, we're ignoring the 2 or 3 years before, and we're going with the inconsistent year. You look at Eze. Eze's not always been consistent.
Yeah.
Eze this season gone. I remember in the first half of the season, fans were going, glad we didn't get Eze.
Yeah.
A really bad year. Then from January onwards, he's had a brilliant second half of the season. Look, Mo Salah is consistent, right?
Sure.
People of that ilk. Kevin De Bruyne is consistent. I don't know many footballers. In the last 4 years, has anyone at Spurs been consistent?
No.
Anyone? Right.
Not the last consistent player for us was Harry Kane. Was the last player that you went, he's consistent because he scored no matter what team player-wise. And I think you're right on that point, though. That's the thing is you've got to think about it. Consistent players, ironically, the cream rises to the top. Consistent players go to the best teams. If you're consistent 3 years in a row and you're playing for, I don't know, Brighton, you're going to Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, because that's why, good example, that's why Bayern Munich wants someone like Mitoma. Consistently doing it year after year, that's why teams like Bayern Munich want him. So, and I think that's the key bit for me. We're not, and I don't want to sound, people will go, you've got bad, your attitude's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, you've got to want the best, but you've got to look relative. Consistency is the currency these days. Consistency is currency. And the best teams buy the most consistent players.
It's funny because, listen, okay, I'll tell you what, let's do I'm just going to check something on my phone. Now, I don't know the answer to this. I'm just checking it.
Try more should do now. See if I can get the mic to work.
Here we go. Let's have a look. So I'm going to look at Mitoma. Now, if I turn around and said to everybody, let's get Matoma, I think everyone would say yes, right? So I'm not being rude.
Sure.
I'm just looking to see, right, Matoma. So here it is, Karen Matoma. Now, this is a man. Would you like Matoma at Spurs?
Of course. Who wouldn't?
Right. Okay. Chat. Here we go. Let me ask. Chat. Would you all like Matoma at Spurs? Yeah. Yes or no in the chat right now would be amazing, right?
Anyone that says no, what?
Right. This is a guy, right, whose best year is 10 goals, right?
Yep.
In the 2 years before that for Brighton, he got 3 goals and 7 goals. So this is a guy that everyone's going, oh my God, just go and get Matoma. Now, Perchy, if we were a big club, I'd like to see Matoma left and Kudus right, okay?
Sure.
That's what I'd love to see. I think you're on mute again, by the way. I'm not sure.
Can you not hear me?
Oh, no, I can now. Yeah, sorry, you went a bit quiet, right? Now, everyone says just go and get him. Why is no one chucking the consistent thing at him? Let me just, right? In his first season for Brighton, he got 12 goal contributions. In his second season, 7 goal contributions. Last season, 14 goal contributions. So we're all, this is what I mean by recency bias. Like we all remember something that's just happened in the last few months. And I'm not knocking Matoma. I would love Matoma. But all of a sudden, we're just forgetting that the year that Kudus had last year, not this year, gone, the year before, was better than anything Matoma's done it in the league at a worse team. So I think we've got to pinch of salt with a lot of these opinions of he hasn't done a lot. Marios, this is, I will never understand when fans say this. What have the two got to do with each other?
Oh, I say this all the time. It's so lazy, man. I find it. Why do we do this all the time? By the way, and I don't get the relevance. One played in totally different positions. One was, I think we signed in Ndombele when he was 22 at Lyon. Where's the relevance?
Right. By the way, somebody I think has asked, right? I think somebody has said, "Who would you want, Marios?" Right? He said Alanga, right? Who's never been consistent in his career. Hudson-Odoi. Right? I've just got Hudson-Odoi's stats up, Perchy. Isn't it? And this is what I mean. Isn't this funny? Look, he's doing exactly what I said. Odoi, Matoma, right? Hudson-Odoi, his best season is 8 goals, right?
Yeah.
His best combined contributions is 9 in a season. So isn't it funny how we look at some players and go, oh, I love him, but I don't want him. I don't get it. I truly don't get it.
It's silly. And I just want to say, big up Paul in the chat. Yo, I'm back in the UK. I saw you put a comment in the other day, and I was like, we're in the middle of a conversation. But yeah, I am. I'm back in the UK, just so you know. I just think it's silly. Like we talk about, big up Paul. I just think we do this a lot, right? And by the way, I have no, if we were linked with Alanga, for me, I wouldn't want Alanga. And I'll tell you my reasoning. I think he's a good football player. I think he's a very good football player. But I look at someone like him and I go, I don't think it's a phrase that I'll nick one of Sean's phrases where he says, is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Is that you're saying? I thought
that's
Sean says that.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Fine, you're saying. I'll nab your saying. Because I look and go, someone like Alanga or Hudson-Odoi, we use either of them there in that conversation. If you're Nottingham Forest, just got yourselves into Europe, how much are you going to sit there and go, I need him? Like that, who needs him more? Do Forest need him or do Tottenham need him more? And the argument would be is Forest would go, well, we're in Europe now. We need to retain these players for that. How much do you want? Well, that's 70 million quid. Let's just say the argument is 70 million quid. Is Alanga a 70 million pound player? Not for me. I know nobody can argue, oh, it doesn't matter about money, blah, blah, blah. But he's not the level where I go, you've got to go, he's your marquee signing. He's the sort of player you get Alanga if Forest get relegated. Does that make sense? If Forest got relegated next season, I'd be like, go and get Elanga. You get him for 20, 30 mil. Go and get Hudson-Odoi, same argument.
Yeah.
But right now, whilst they're at their peak, is it worth it? I get, by the way, why Newcastle want him. Because if Newcastle want him, he fits perfectly into the mould of what they're after. That nippy winger out wide. He fits that Anthony Gordon market. That very tricky, aggressively fast winger. Does he fit what we want? Not right now. Unfortunately, we need to start we need more, what I would say, technical wingers like a Kudus that will offer a lot more than that.
I agree. I just find the hypocrisy very funny. This guy's not a needle mover. He doesn't score or assist enough. But the player I'm going to mention's done worse than him in his career. I find it hilarious. I honestly, I'll call anybody out on this. I think we've also got to realise that he's going to be playing in a better team, for a better coach, in a better system. You would expect these players, whoever joins, to be better, to do better. But I just don't. I don't understand. I don't understand. Who's lazy, Marios? Who's lazy? Who's lazy? Kudus isn't lazy.
Kudus statistically is very not lazy. Like, if
he works hard.
The problem is Kudus. I don't know where this. I'll be honest. I don't know where this opinions come from, right? Because nothing has ever showed me in Kudus that this is one of those lazy players. It's almost like people have it's like it's become like an old wives' tale that all of a sudden it is. But nothing is no one's gone, he's lazy because of X, Y, and Z. It's just almost become like it's like hearsay. One person said it, so now it's become true.
Yeah, he's skillful. He must be lazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't like this. I genuinely don't think. Listen, I love it. Hang on. I always find someone to battle against. Elanga had 17 GA this year and 14 last year. That's consistent. Sure, but what about Kudus the year before, who had 20 GA? Right? Why are we just looking at a player? You've got to remember, by the way, as well, that Elanga this year has played for a very good Nottingham Forest team.
And you got to remember, though, also, Forest's football is built around their wide players, right?
Yeah.
Forest's football is built about their wide players being counter-attacking with the likes of Chris Wood in the middle. So am I shocked that he's got that level of goals and assists? No, because that's how they play football, right? It's how they play football.
Mm. Yeah. Listen, by the way, the Gibbs-White conversation is completely separate. Again, we're mixing positions. We're mixing positions. It's like me saying, I'd rather have Carl Walker-Peters. He's a fullback. Like, it doesn't make sense. Look, I just find it funny. I've personally been crying out for a skillful player for a long time.
You know me, I love technical football players.
And then when we're linked to one, we find every reason to not want them, right? By the way, if we do sign him, I'm going to remember this. Marius, I'm going to remember this. When you're waxing lyrical about solo goals this guy scores and the amount he beats a man and gets fans off their seats, just remember you didn't think he was good. Just remember that you said he's Ndombele. Like, why is everybody now Ndombele?
Anyone we sign with a little bit of money that's a midfielder becomes a Ndombele. It's crazy.
It will be very different.
The question, right? I don't really get what these people want, right? We're linked with a top attacking player, and then it's we don't want him now. So the names you've named are more what I would say more
direct runners,
traditional wingers that are pacey, running on the touchline. Whereas I would say Kudus is more of your sort of technical winger that you're happy to interchange. What I'm really excited about is him and Maddison next to each other. Because you know how it will be. Those two will be interchanging. Neither one of them will be sticking out wide. It won't be like this, playing like an out-and-out winger. Those two will be swapping in. It will be really nice to watch us playing football. Same with Kulu, by the way. That's why I think all three of them could actually work in a weird three-way where they can all interchange in between each other and stuff.
Connor, Levinomics. If you want to join, Connor, you're more than welcome to join us. Absolutely spot on. Alanga, he absolutely is that. Listen, I like Alanga. I think he's got his uses. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think he's perfect for the transition when you say, right, we're going to sit in, now give it to Hudson-Odoi and Alanga, go and do your thing. Kudus, for me,
in the middle.
is a bit more of a, I think you can give this boy the ball when he's got no room to work in and he can beat his man within 2 yards. Like he's got the skill, he's got the trick. I'm baffled by Spurs fans. I truly am. I mean, you think all the times I get told I should ask for better. We got fans rating Johnson for his GA and then accusing Kudus of being lazy. Brennan Johnson is the laziest, weakest footballer I think I've ever seen in my life. Big up to Chop Cheese. While we're there, big up to Emma Morton. Very generous every show. She's in here with her super stickers. Thank you very much, Emma. Really, really do appreciate you, my friend. Hope you're enjoying the show. The banter back and forth between Perchy of Perchyville and Savva of Savaland. Big up to you, Emma. Really appreciate that. And big up to my man, Rodney Roberts. So big up, Savva. Good to see you. Perchy, good evening. Good evening to all of you. By the way, the members only show is tomorrow at 4 p.m. My main show tomorrow is being pushed to 12. It might even be 1 tomorrow. I'm filming for The Sun in the morning. And tomorrow I am debating a West Ham fan on
this week good.
And I was looking up the West Ham fan who I'm debating. I'm not allowed to say who it is, but I was looking up the West Ham fan I'm debating. I was like, oh, he's okay. Okay. All right. This is going to be good. So I'm just doing
tell me after the show.
I'll tell you off the show. Yeah. And I've just been sent through. I've not read the email. I've just been sent through the Sun, the 5 topics we're going to be debating. So this is going to be fun. Anyway, so the show will be either at 12 or 1 tomorrow, but the members only show will be at 4 p.m. And then in the evening, there won't be anything. I'm going to Bromley. I'm going to go and watch Bromley be Tottenham under 21.
Can we get a match day vlog from Savva? Match day vlog.
You will.
I want all the transitions of you getting on the train and all this lot.
No, I've got no interest in all that.
And then you sit there recording with your camera, doing like Sean's weird camera that he has, by the way. I've seen it. It's shamble. It's shocking. He has this one with
little mic. Little mic with the FHTV. No,
yeah, the little mic going around on.
That's not. Do you know what? Sometimes, right? Sometimes I watch not football. It could be anything. I watch these people who do these vlogs. It could be about anything, darts, eating fish, whatever. And I look at, is that my front door? Yeah, the wife is home. And I look at the views that it gets compared to how long it must have taken to do all the editing. And I just think, nah, you're getting me raw. At this stage in my career, you're getting me raw. Here's the video. Here I am. I'm going to talk. If I make a mistake, I'll go, sorry, what I meant was, and we'll take it from there. Big up to you. Big up to Andy Lester. Always very generous, Andy. 4 p.m. tomorrow. Members only show. See you there, buddy. Looking forward to meeting you. This is, who said this? I mean, not trolling. I just don't think it improves you. You clearly don't watch our wingers. Like, we have Brennan Johnson.
Who do Harvey support?
Harvey, I think he's out in Turkey. Who do you support, Harvey? But we have Odeber, Johnson, Tell, Solomon, Hill.
Some of the worst wingers in the league.
Yeah.
How does he really wide players?
Madness. Oh, look, he's here. Angus is inside the house. Angus, are you going to be Angus? I really want you next season to buy an Arsenal shirt with Madueke on the back. That's what I want to see. Angus with Madueke 1.
100%. No, I want him to get a Kepa shirt. Get the goalkeeper shirt. Be shameless. Get a goalkeeper Kepa shirt.
Yeah. Kepa. I want 2. Kepa and Madueke. That's what we want to see from you.
Madueke 11.
Andrew Kiddle, who's out there in Lee Green, where I grew up. It says some fans need to remember that we aren't made of money. We'll be looking into the mid. You sound like my mum when I was growing up. Mum, I need this. I'm not made of money. There is not a tree in the garden where money is growing, Richard. That's what she used to say to me, Richard. The only reason people are hurt is because he plays for West Ham. Give him a chance. Listen, I don't even think it's about giving him a chance. I think he comes to Tottenham and he's our best footballer. I genuinely look at the squad and cannot understand any fan doubting it. We are a law unto ourselves. Big up to you. Second quickest player in the Premier League is Alanga. Thanks, Phil.
Cheers,
where's your man Tell feature in the speed list? Where does he feature in the speed list? Big up to you. Hope you're well. Perchy, let's move away. Lots of reports the last 24, 48 hours that the Juventus are trying to get rid of Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
And that Juventus intermediaries are looking to get him back. Sorry, to keep him in Europe. It's a no. I know we say this. It's a no-brainer for Tottenham Hotspur. And it's like 25 million euros. Douglas Luiz.
I like Douglas Luiz. The one question I will say though is there doesn't seem to be this swarm of teams after him. And that does concern me to the slides, because the team that I see that are the most progressed at the moment is Como, which I sit back and go, this is a decent player here. But it's like almost like everyone's gone, nah, that's the game. We don't want to go. We don't want to. It's almost like there's something hanging over this bloke, and everyone's gone, yeah, we don't want to get involved with this guy. Like, I'm not saying that is the case before anyone thinks that, but does that not concern you in a little bit that the only team that have made real progression on this guy is Como in Italy?
Yeah, but you know how quickly those things can move. They're fluid, right?
Course.
Like, look, I agree with you, but Perchy, let's remember who we are. We don't want too many teams involved. Otherwise,
no. I get that. I think my theory is the way that it's worded. I read that wording was almost like Juventus are going, we want to sell as soon as possible. We want him off our books. And you would think for a player of his same, by the way, this goes also with Vlahovic, by the way. There's not this queue of people for £12 million queuing up to go, we'll have him. Like it, and I don't know if it's his wages. I don't know if it's it's his wages and Vlahovic's wages, which are turning a lot of people going, now we're not touching him, because at the moment he's on way too much money for us. I think Douglas, I'll say this now. I'm going to say this is clip this. This is going to be a good one. I think Douglas Luiz for me is going to be one of those that goes on the last minute. He'll go somewhere at the last minute. I think teams are sitting there going, we don't want to touch his wages right now. They're way too overpriced for what we want. But we'll wait until deadline day, and then if you do desperately need to get rid of him, we'll have him on a really, really cheap deal, like a sort of a loan to buy kind of thing.
Do you know what? I wanna take everything you just said there and replace the word Luiz with Vlahovic. I think Vlahovic will be one of those that when the striker market kicks in, i.e. the moment Gyökeres signs for Arsenal and now everyone else starts going for Ekatike, Sesko, Osman's going to Galatasaray.
Talking of Gyökeres, did you see the guy that Sporting are replacing him with? He's a good striker, by the way.
Who's that?
Luis Suarez, the Colombian guy. I think he plays in Spain somewhere, I think. I can't remember. Good little player, I tell you. Trust me, keep an eye on him. He's very good. He played for Almeria in the Segunda Division. Scored loads of goals.
Clubs like Sporting, they normally are good with their network of scouting, and they normally do find these gems, don't they? Yeah, absolutely. Harvey said, I support Galatasaray. Okay, so Osman is signing for Galatasaray in the next few days. Yes. I think Kudus is better than Mohamed Kudus. Had a bad season last season. He was the main man.
Different sorts of players,
yeah, I think it depends. Again, we're doing that thing. One is a winger, one is not. If I want a wide man picking up the ball, 10 out of 10, I want it to always be Kudus instead of Kulu. If we're talking more inside, bit more intricate, probably Kulusevski's my guy, right?
So it depends where you're putting him.
Yeah, I think we've got to stop doing this. Spurs fans seem to do this a lot. We keep basing players against players who don't play in the same position. Yeah. It's like me going, oh, I love Vicario. Yeah, but he's not as good as Rodri. Well, yeah, I'm not really sure it works, but listen, I like Kulu, but for me, I've seen him for 4 years now. And again, too up and down for me. No consistency. And I'll tell you what, I just can't get to grips with for him. It is that lack of. It's all a bit one paced with him, and I want Kudus to get the ball electric down that channel. So not for me.
What
I'm
you
afraid.
kind of need though, you in a weird way, you need, if you're going to have Kulu and Kudus playing, Kulu has to be your more central player that kind of distribute more in a weird way, a bit like the Odegaard thing. Because I think Odegaard's a little bit one paced as well in that sense that. But what he has got is a good pass on the ball. So I could see it working. But yeah, I wouldn't have Kulu on the out wide. Kudus is way better.
Chopped cheese. Absolutely agree, mate. Listen, this is the problem. At the moment, every time one of our wide men gets the ball, there is... I don't know what you lot think or what Perchy thinks. Every time one of our wide men gets the ball, I lose all excitement for any attack that we've got.
You count it. Run, stop, pass it back. Run, back.
Exactly.
Like you can time it now. It became so apparent.
Yeah, look, I completely agree. Savva, what GA will tell get next season under Frank? I don't know. I mean, doesn't it depend if he's the first team starter? Listen, I would expect him to do better than I've seen because of the coaching, but for me, listen, if I'll remove the fact that I don't want him because he's here now.
Yeah.
He's got to show something. He's shown nothing at Bayern Munich or Spurs in the last 2 years. I thought he was absolutely crap in the Euro under-21s. I thought he got one goal. And other than that, I watched him and it was like all fullbacks have him in their pocket. It's not even just about the goals and assists. I want to see him taking players out of the game. I want to see him beating men. I want to see him whipping in dangerous crosses.
Yeah.
I've got to see something. It's not just GA. And this is the problem.
Yeah, I think that's the key bit here. If we scrap that GA bit out of that point and go, what do I want to see from Tell? Yeah. I want to see him taking on players, being a problem, contributing somewhere. I think we're so obsessed with GA. I don't know what you think about this. We're so obsessed about how many goals and assists a player gets that we don't actually go, well, hang on, what's he contributing in the game?
Yeah. No, agreed. GA is important in certain areas. Like,
of course,
James Maddison, you've got to have GA because he's a creator. He's a playmaker.
Yeah.
A striker. Solanke. The GA is important. For the wide men, I expect that at this level, you're not going to have someone who gives you 20, 25 GA a season. They might have great years. They might have average years. And that's what we've just seen from Kudus at West Ham. We've seen a really good year where he got 20 GA. And then we've seen a really poor year where he hasn't. But I'll say this right now, arrogantly. If it sounds arrogant, I mean it to, Perchy. If anyone is watching Brennan Johnson and Kudus and says they would rather have Brennan in the team because of his GA, you don't understand football. I'm sorry. You do not understand football.
This is the problem, right? And GA masks a lot of it because do you know what's funny though? And I always say this a lot. Goals and assists are so misleading because they're the same, right? You could score a 30-yard screamer or a 2-yard tap-in. They both count as a goal. So you could have a midfielder that can take on 4 players and then bend it to the top corner. It has the same amount of goals as someone that scores a backyard tap-in. And vice versa with assists, right? You could have someone that pings in an unbelievably perfect ball to the box, who then scores a header at the back post. That's the same assist as someone that makes a 2-yard pass to a player that then jinks around and scores it. So GA is as I said, use it for goal scorers and creative players, but don't judge a player on GA in that capacity.
Yeah, listen, goals and assists are important, but for me, I'll ask this question. Here's what I'll ask you. When these Champions League fullbacks are playing against Tottenham at White Hart Lane, do they want to mark Brennan Johnson or do they want to mark Kudus?
No, they'd rather mark Brennan Johnson because they know how to defend against him. He's very easy to defend against.
They know he's not going to beat them. They know he's got no skill. He's weak. They won't want Kudus because when you've got a Maverick, Mavericks don't even know what they're going to do. So if he doesn't
they're
know what he's going to do,
instinctive, innit?
the defenders don't. So we'll see. We'll see. Vlahovic to Man U. I tell you what, I don't think that would be a bad move because Vlahovic, for me, if he had Mbuemo one side, if that comes off, and Cunha the other, supporting him and playing him in, I think that's a good front three. I think if Man U get that, I think that would be a very good front three.
And Man United are the sort of team that could probably hit that wage budget though of him because I think he's on like 300 grand a week. So he's a sort
he's
like
on a lot.
He's on a lot. The Man United are the sort of team that would go and put that down. If look again, I think Vlahovic and Luiz will be one of those last minute signings. I think I stand by. I could be wrong. Watch both of them go and sign next week. But I feel like those are the sort of ones that teams will sit out and go, we'll hold and hold and hold. And then when one person, it's almost a bit like, it'll be like hold. And then when the first person makes their move, everyone makes their move kind of thing. It'll be all depending on who makes the first move.
Absolutely. Can I just say, when I see things like this, Scalvini, no chance, he's off to Newcastle, Man U, we can't pay wages. Sam, Newcastle haven't got any players on what we pay our top earners.
I was going to say, we could pay Scalvini wages. Hang on, what?
I don't get it.
Of course we could pay Scalvini's wages. Scalvini's not on ridiculous money. If we signed a Scalvini, it'd be on 80,
what he's on.
I don't know what he's on, but he'll be on 80, 90 grand a week at Tottenham, right? That's the sort of wages someone like a Scalvini will be on, 80, 90 grand a week. The question will be for someone like Scalvini is where am I playing? You've got two players in there in Romero and Van de Ven. Where am I involved in all this? Are you going to play a back three? Cool. Or is Romero going? Am I coming in? That's the question marks a player like a Scalvini will go, I'm not going in there. I'm going in there to play. So where am I going, right? So
Scalvini is on 10,000 euros per week.
Can't pay his wages though, mate. Can't pay his wages. Mate, we would literally eightfold his wages easily.
Kenji. Yeah, listen, by the way, on the wages piece, I think I've said this before. We chuck this line about very freely without looking into it. As I said, right, so as a creator, I've got about 40 tabs open at the top of my screen, right? I've got FootMob open, SofaScore, Data MB, FB Ref. I've got Capology so that I can go boom, boom, boom to anything and go, right, here's the data. You lot at home have the exact same data that I've got access to. So when we say we can't pay the wages, we could offer Scalvini 100 grand a week and we would have, what's that? 100, no, sorry, what's that, 10 times his salary.
10 times his wages, mate.
Like, I do think we've got to, we've got to look at this. By the way, Kenji, listen, I don't care. I'll take either. I just, at the moment, I think we're doing that thing again where because the deal might be off with Man U, that we automatically think we're the next in the rank to get him. And I've not seen that we've bid for him at all.
One, it's not off. I think for me, the problem with Man United at the moment, they have to offload. So for them at the moment, it will start coming together once the likes of Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho leave the building. Then you'll start seeing Mbuemo coming in. Look, I think just to sort of go, just a little touch back on the wages sort of thing. I think we need to stop this narrative, right? And I stand by it because I look at it and go, what player right now out there that is within reason to what we should be going for right now that we wouldn't be able to pay wages for? Look, I'm not talking about going in there and getting Kevin De Bruyne on a free transfer who's probably going to want 200, 300 grand a week. We're going in for players like Scalvini, who's on 10 grand a week at Atalanta, who's one of the young centre halves that is up there in the world right now. He's a top centre half. Why can't we pay someone like his wages? The problem is because, and let's be fair with it, we pay bigger wages than Newcastle do at the moment.
Yeah.
Look, right. I don't get it. It's almost people are just believing it now to say it. There's no evidence. And Man United, I get, right? If Man United aren't going to offer Scalvini 300 grand a week, are they? Like, do you know what I mean? If he was going there, he can offer him 300 grand a week.
our three top earners at Spurs are paid more than anyone that Newcastle United have got.
Yeah.
Right. So when we say we can't pay, we can't match Newcastle for salary. Like, I feel like I just feel there's a lot of lazy statements. Like, we can't pay wages. I know that this is the sort of thing I expect Lubo to say. Oh, we can't pay wages. Well, yes, we do. We can pay wages. Yes, we can.
The difference is what people misconstrue when we say can't pay wages. Yeah, we can't pay wages on the level of Manchester City do at the moment, and at the level of 300-400 grand a week for a player. Yeah, fine, I'll concede that point. But what there's quite a few. I mean, barring probably, I would say even the top three, maybe even Chelsea. Put Chelsea in that top four and Man United. Apart from that, we compete with every single one of the teams in the league, like on that level, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it's such a lazy narrative. Talking to Man City, though, I'll ask you a question. Have you seen the news that came out of Man City about one player that wants to leave?
Go on, who?
He's only just joined. Nico Gonzalez is on and wants to leave Man City already. He's been there about 6 months.
Said who? Said who?
His agent supposedly is touting a way out for him. Supposedly,
we'll see. We'll see.
That one, by the way, I'm not saying that we're going to go get someone like that, but I've heard a lot of rumors that there's teams in Saudi Arabia that are interested in him. Okay,
no, I'd take Nico Gonzalez all day. Should we see what
he's
on?
He'd be our best football player across the whole team. He's a very good football player.
Should we see what he's on? So at Man City, Nico Gonzalez is on. See if I can find Nico Gonzalez. Apparently, is on 60 grand a week.
Yeah, he came from Porto, didn't he? That makes sense.
He's on 60 grand a week.
Can't pay his wages.
This is what I mean. We've got money. I mean, look. I'll tell you what. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what. I'll bring this up. Let's have a look at Tottenham's wages.
Are we playing the guess how much they're paid game? That'd be a great. That feels like it's sort of higher and lower the game show.
It just, I just feel like. Here we go. So this is Capology. This is Tottenham Hotspur. So we can see there you got Sonny on 190. James Maddison is on more than any Newcastle player. So is so is Romero. So is Werner, who we've just had for 18 months on that salary. Granted, we haven't got many over that, Grant, but we can pay it. It's not that we can't pay it. I think we've got to get that out of our minds. Yeah, I think what people don't realize that it's all under one budget, right? So when people start going, we can't pay the wage. Well, what we do at the moment, we're paying a lot on transfer fee, and not necessarily at the 200 grand a week wages, in a sense, if that makes a little bit of sense. So we pay quite high transfer fees in that comparison, though, right, for players. Our salary is 20 million a year more than Newcastle.
Yeah,
20 million a year, and we can't cope. I'll say he gets double figures. Figures what? Goals? I think he's talking about Tell.
No, because he said GA initially. So you're saying double figures in GA.
10 GA.
But Phil, here's the question: is that across the whole season, or is that just the Premier League? Because it's very clever, though. Because saying it across the whole season, we're going to be playing about 50-odd games this season. So is 10 GA great over... It depends how much he plays, right?
Yeah, look, I feel like when we talk about things like that, you've always got to caveat and say...
He just said just in the Premier League. And you think he's going to get 10 goals a season in the Premier League? I'll take that bet, Phil. I'll take that bet. 20 quid, 50 quid or to the charity of your choice.
I think it's difficult, right? Like, how much does he play for a start? Like, that's my argument with it. I'll be really disappointed if he is a first-team starter. If we start the season and Tell is our guy on the left, I'll be well pissed off. I really will. I'll be well pissed off.
Look, I think the thing is I think Tell's going to be... So So Phil, you said done. That's fair. I'm happy to put it up on screen. It's on here. We can come back to this at the end of the season. 50 quid to the charity of each person's choice on depending on it. I think look, I think 10. Look, I think Tell will be utilised as playing what I would say the lesser size in the Champions League, because we'll play some of those, and then he'll use and then he'll be played in the cup games a lot more. He'll come as a super sub. He'll get a couple of goals on as a super sub. But look, I think look, I'm happy to take it, because I think if he does go and get 12, 13 goals, it's a good season, by the way. It's a good season. So look, I'm happy. It's a win-win for me. It's a win-win for me. Let's have a look. I'm gonna take the chat lead here with the thing and see what. Question 7. I'm gonna nick this one, Andy, and I'll ask him when he gets it. Question. I understand. Or did he pin it? He might have pinned it. I don't know. I don't know. Screw it. We're gonna do it, Andy. We're gonna do it. I'm taking ownership. I understand your and a lot of the fan base opinions on Johnson, but do you think a lot of his laziness was tactical and system based? I think there is a lot more to give credit for. Look, what I will always give credit for, and I'll ask Savva when he gets back, was that his output was good. His output was good. But you've taken it off. It's a question that we're debating right now.
Oh, what was it?
So the question is, do you guys think that his laziness, as in Johnson's, was due to the system? And I think there is more than we give credit for. As I said, credit for goals, because whether we like it or not, he was scoring goals, right? But do I think that the laziness came from the tactical side? I'm going to say no, because on the other side, we didn't see that. So that told me that it was very polarizing. Like if both wide players were causing problems for our fullbacks, then I'd go looks tactical, but not for me. What do you think?
First of all, I just think he's lazy and weak. Second of all, I don't even care about that. It's just how bad he is at football. Like, as a football fan, I don't watch him ever and go, yeah, I'm glad you're at my club.
Yeah.
I just don't. And each to their own. People say, yeah, but he scores goals. Sure. I want to watch footballers. That guy for me.
I think that's the difference where people don't get the comparison right. He's not a good football player, but managed to chip in with a few goals last season. I don't think people get the difference.
No, absolutely. Newcastle have Saudi owners. What do you mean? We have Levy. We can't pay wages with Levy.
What?
That
is what a weird comment. What? That doesn't make sense.
Our wage bill is £20 million a year more than Newcastle's. 20 million. I don't know what you mean by this.
This is like this whole sentence, unfortunately, from Lurs is basically like just what everyone talks about and makes stuff up on and built in a sentence. We've got Levy, so we pay nothing. They've got Saudi owners, means they pay everything. Wow. Head's gone.
Sorry, so I said, anyone know Porro's wages? I do know Porro's wages. They're right there on the screen, and I'll highlight them for you. There you go. 85.
Yeah, 85 grand. I thought it was about 80, 85.
85 grand per week is Pedro Porro. But yeah, people have got to stop this whole everyone in the world pays better than Spurs. What this is something that every time we can't get a player, we blame the wages. We offered Tomori, we offered Milan all of Tomori's wages. Tomori said no. We offered PSG all of Kolo Muani's wages, and Muani chose Juventus. We offered the same wages to Doué that PSG did. These players have said no. Can't just blame wages. Said this before. There are 10, 15 different factors in whether a player signs for a club.
And the rest, yeah.
just pay the wages is just lewd. This is what's told to you, unfortunately, by people that play too many computer games.
Hey, the wages thing isn't even on Football Manager. I know you like that line. It's not even like that. You can't even, if a player doesn't want to join you, he doesn't want to join you, whether or not you offer him 300 grand a week or if you offer him 10 grand a week. Like people need to stop that, because it's such a lazy argument, and it's the narrative which I find so boring now. As I said, I can send 1,000,001 examples where the finance side of things can be a factor when you're offering generational wealth, right? When we're talking Saudi money, right? I get it. Like, let's be fair. If Ruben Neves was one of the players that went to Saudi Arabia, he was offered generational wealth to go to Al Hilal. I get it. Money is a factor on that part, but not when you're talking about teams offering 100 to 200 grand a week at clubs now. It's not a factor. There'll be other factors involved.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, he's back. Our mate is back. I don't think Savva... Sorry, we have Levy. I don't think Savva, the guy who has a Spurs YouTube channel that does his homework on everything and has supported Spurs for 40 years, you don't think Savva understands that we have Daniel Levy?
We can't pay wages because of Levy. Didn't Daniel Levy pay an 18-year-old in Archie Grace 75 grand a week? We don't pay wages, though. We paid a kid 75 grand a week.
It makes me laugh. We can't pay wages. Well, ask Romero. Ask Madison.
Ask Human Song, because he makes a ton of money.
Our son.
You are the archetypal reason why we created this podcast, because what are we doing here?
If Kudus gets 25 GA across all competitions, I'm sending a £20 super chat. Do I take it? Of course, you just offered me free money. Of course I take it.
Why you not take it?
Why would I? Anyway, by the way, guys, we are only 30 subscribers away from 19,000 subscribers. Come on, guys and girls. 30. I'm sure most of you have subscribed. If you haven't, the link is pinned. Guys, please, can we, as I've said, people like Lurs, the data is there. Everyone's got access to the data I've got access to. Before we just come out with things like we can't pay the wages, please have a look. I think what we do, Perchy, is we almost make it out like every single player that's signed by every other club is all on 250k plus a week. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. No reason Frank can't make Teller good left. Sure. But for 40 million, we could have done better. No reason we couldn't have done better. There we go. Kenji said, Savva Perchy, another question. Why is not Newcastle buying mad? Thought they have the richest owners in the world.
Simple. The new rules of PSR mean that Newcastle can't just go and splash stupid money about. It's why Newcastle are very much trying to build up their stadium, right? It's almost like Daniel Levy was ahead of the curve with this whole PSR stuff. Like, I'm not defending him here, but that is why, right? You need to go and get loads and loads of money in so you can spend your money. That's the difference. Yeah. The rules are you can only make a financial loss. I want to say like 30, 40 million. Am I right in saying something like that? I don't know the exacts, but yeah, that's the problem. You can't go out there. And it's also why Chelsea are selling everything that they own to themselves. They found a loophole in the system. That's why their car park is now being sold to themselves for that reason.
I wish I had a car park to sell to myself.
I'm shocked they haven't sponsored everything. That's what they used to do. That's what, like, I'm shocked they haven't got Chelsea's car park supported by some random company.
Just quickly, there has been some breaking news in the last 3 minutes on the Spurs website in regards to well, not players, I'm afraid. It's a coaching update. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm looking at this at the same time as you lot. So I'll read this out for anyone that struggles with how small that print is. It says, following the recent appointment of Thomas Frank as our new head coach, we can now confirm the full composition, good word, of our men's first team coaching staff ahead of the new season. Further to the previously announced arrivals of Justin Cochrane as the first team assistant coach, Chris Haslam, head of performance and first team assistant coach, Andreas Georgeson, first team assistant coach, and Joe Newton, first team coach analyst. We can confirm that Matt Wells will remain on the coaching staff as first team assistant coach. In addition, we welcome Cameron Campbell as first team individual development coach and Fabian Otti, great name, as the first team goalkeeper coach. They arrived following spells at RB Leipzig and Liverpool, respectively. Furthermore, we're pleased to announce that Stuart Lewis and Dean Brill have been promoted into new roles from our academy. Stuart is now first team academy transition coach. Dean becomes first team assistant goalkeeping coach. Finally, we can announce that Rob Birch has left the club, former player and coach in our academy. Rob returned to us 2023. We thank him for his There they are. There they are. That is the Tottenham Hotspur coaching staff. And Perchy, what I will say is, unlike when Angel's here, this is Frank's crew. This is his gang. These are his people, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, he's brought in a chunk of them himself from Brentford, and then he picked and choose some people he wanted. One thing from that is I love the names. It never used to be like, it used to have a goalkeeping coach, some fitness coaches, and first team coaches. Now it's like transitional coach.
Yeah.
Like, I love the names. Like, it's just like we just need like a coach that sets up our set piece tactical coach. Like, I think it's brilliant. But yeah, look, I think it's good. Like, it is what it is. Like, I think we're all happy that we're getting actual coaches that the man that was selected by Thomas Frank, which is expected, right? That's what he does, right?
No, I completely agree. Look, there it is, everybody. I just thought I'd bring that up for everyone to see. I think it's really good. You've got Frank bringing in his own people. That's what you want. That's why I trust it a lot more than before. Andy, I can honestly tell you, I never, ever, ever will refer to Brennan Johnson as a luxury player, whether it's a good one or a not so good one. For me, he's just a tap-in merchant, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when this is the guy playing out on the right-hand side, then, you know, I think it's really, really bad.
I think just before you sort of move on quickly on the star thing, that on that picture was quite apparent. Is Johan Lang going to be the guy now? Because he was front and center of that. Like, there wasn't Levy, there wasn't Vinay. It was Johan Lang in the middle of that. He was the guy there with that picture. So is he the guy? I don't know, by the way. I'm just the fact is he's front and center with all the coaches. Is he going to be the guy above Frank? Maybe. I don't know. I'm intrigued.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Daniela Stewart, big up to you, Daniela. Has said, question, Savva and Perchy, if Levy and Spurs put a fourth outrageous low offer. I don't think we've put in 3 already, by the way. I feel like this is not confirmed at all. I feel like we know that 1 has 100% been rejected. Everything else, there is a lot of hearsay and rumour. But if we're just going to run with your theory that Spurs have already had 3 bids rejected, I think we'd know. If we go in for a fourth outrageous low offer, would you blame West Ham if we said that we're walking away and look elsewhere? By the way, Kudus has 2 to 3 years left. Difficult one to answer because I don't believe that 3 bids have already gone in. I genuinely don't believe that. I don't know. It's difficult to answer that, Perchy. How would you answer that? I don't know.
I'll answer this for Daniela. I think I agree, brother. I think there's probably 1, maybe 2 from what I think, because no one. I don't think there's been 3. I think that would be nonsensical. I think the first one was presumptuous a few weeks back from, I think, what was mentioned. The second one was a bit more bulky, and then maybe the third one's coming soon, from my opinion. But I think West Ham are more in the predicament than Tottenham are, right? That's my opinion on this. I think I get what Danielle is saying, that West Ham step away from it, but I think the problem West Ham got at the moment is they're almost banking on this transfer to be the start of their transfer dealings, because they need the money. And I think that's why this sort of to-ing and throwing is going. I think that's my theory. I think when we talk about, I don't think West Ham at the moment are in a position to walk away unless, and the reason why I say that is the fact that Kudus, from what we know in the media, is that Spurs is the only place he wants to go to. The bargaining chip actually may not be on West Ham to sit there and go, we can't sit there and we don't want to keep rejecting offers for the player to go, I don't want to be here. Like, look, because we've seen it before, right? Kudus, I'm not saying he does this, but could be the guy that goes, well, if you've rejected now a fourth bid, cool, I'm not going to play for you lot anymore. And I only want to go to Tottenham. Get on with it, right?
Yeah.
And then he sits there and does a bit like a Gareth Bale and doesn't play for Tottenham anymore, like or West Ham, for example. So I think it's easy to sort of go for West Ham to say, we'll walk away, but West Ham need the money from what we read and all that lot. Their transfers have to start when he goes, right?
Yeah, I think that it comes down to this understanding how transfers work.
Yeah.
Would if that scenario was true and that we'd gone in 3 really low ball offers and then a 4th one, West Ham can turn around, of course, and say, we're not dealing with you anymore. But West Ham have also got to be they would have to be very confident that there's another buyer. Right?
Because, exactly.
Also got to be very confident that Kudus would go to that buyer, because we've got to remember, it's not just who the club accept. The club could accept an offer from anyone. If Kudus turns around and says, I have zero interest in going to Saudi, I have zero interest in playing for Galatasaray, then he's not gonna leave. So I think it's and West Ham need the money to start transfers, right? They can't start their sort of transfer window until they get a bit of funds coming in. So I think it's I think this transfer is going to really be a real battle of wits on where is the right answer and the value. And I said 60 plus 5 is going to be it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Mr. Post Office. I do my homework. Honestly, when people say silly things to me, I go and check it out just to make sure that I'm not being silly. Scott, I'll ask this question. Here's the question for you, Scott. Tell me the last player we missed out on because of wages.
Yeah.
When we say it's a problem, sure, it's a problem if we want to talk about signing the world's best who aren't going to sign for us anyway. But as I said to you, Doué wasn't wages. Mawani, Tamori, these players turned us down. That wasn't anything to do with wages. Why? Why did they turn us down? Like who turned us down because of wages? Or are we just pretending?
That's the key bit, right? And I think the wages conversation gets into when we're talking at the top tier players, right? We're not talking at the top tier players. That's the difference.
No, absolutely. Listen, I've got no doubt, right? It's catch-22. Let's use a player. Let's use a player like Mark Guehi. Let's use Guehi, who's so like my mate Matt earlier said, "Oh, just put the money down for Guehi." Not quite understanding how transfer work again. He's in talks with Liverpool.
Yeah,
I just hypothetically, Spurs offer the same amount to Palace. Palace say, "Yep, we'll accept the bid because it's the same amount." Palace don't care at this stage. Yep, we'll offer the same. We'll accept the same amount. Spurs are in contact with Mark Guehi. All right, Liverpool have offered me 200 grand a week. I don't know, by the way, I don't think Mark Guehi will get 200 grand a week, but Liverpool have offered me 200 grand a week. Spurs say, all right, we'll offer you 200 grand a week. Yeah, I'm going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
This is why it's catch-22. Even if we offer
the exact same
more than Liverpool. Liverpool are the biggest club right now in the country and one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's the fans that believe that we would say, we'll give you 220. No, I'm still going to go to Liverpool. I'm still going to that's what I don't get.
The wages argument comes in at that Pochettino pomp era when we were challenging for titles, and then you go and get the big name. and go and break the wage budget to go and get wage structure to go and get a superstar that wins us the league, right? That's where we have that conversation. Not right now. This is why I feel like it becomes such a disingenuous argument.
No, I completely agree. By the way, of course, bonus structures do exist. Of course they do. By the way, I've just checked. Mark Guehi is on 50 grand a week at Crystal Palace. I would imagine that Liverpool will probably go in at 150.
Yeah, I think 120, 130. Yeah, around that sort of
mold. And Tottenham can afford that. We just can't compete with Liverpool on size of the club, trophies, ambition, everything else.
It's almost like there's other clubs that want the better the players are, the more teams you want. The more teams want them, right? That's the argument.
Yeah, let's have a look. Salaries, season 24-25. Let's have a look. I'm just having a look at the salaries by player. Oh my gosh. When you look at the salaries in the Premier League, Erling Haaland's on 525. Then you got Salah and De Bruyne at 400. Casemiro. Right. Okay. So I'll tell you what, right? You've got a select group at the top, right? Of 20 players, 25 players that are all on more than what Spurs pay. Then we're in the next bracket. I get that. But when you look at where all those players are from, right? Nearly every one of them. I'm just trying to see. Here we go. Here you go. I'll bring it up. How about I bring it up? I'll bring it up. Right. So this is this goes to show, right? So this is the 24-25 season. This is the salaries. You can see there on the left-hand side, the first figure is the salaries. So Haaland. So we've got City, Liverpool, City, United, Liverpool, United, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United. Scroll down. Sorry, Chelsea, United, City, Arsenal, City, Man U, City. Are we seeing a pattern? It's
that's what I said. That if you put those top five in those five in that conversation, name me another player that outside of that or above us. There isn't any, right?
Here you go. Let's see, right? So you can now see on this screen, this is page 2. You can see Sonny at fourth in that list, right? Let's see how far we have to go down to get a club that aren't in the big 4 or 5, right? Let's see how far we have to go down. So far, Tottenham are the first club that have entered the list outside of Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and United.
Yeah.
Right? Let's have a look. So, United, City, Timo Werner. Again, so you look. 2 of ours, 3 of ours, 4 of ours. There you go.
And then Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah.
So you've got down to, in the top 40 players in the league, Spurs have got 4 in there before anyone else that isn't in the big 5.
And then you've got Bruno, Gordon, Paqueta, and the only other ones that are in that 150 bracket, right? That are outside of the other teams, right?
Yeah. So
Paqueta, Gordon, and Guimaraes.
Yeah. Right. So this is what I mean. When people are going, we don't pay the wages, what they mean is we don't pay the extortionate wages of City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, and United. That's what they mean. Look, Martinez, Villa. That's the first Villa player to enter.
Yeah, first Villa player. One of their best players. Yeah,
right.
If you keep going, you're still going to be there. Still going to be there. Yuri Tielemans is the next one,
and then Bowen. So Bowen.
And then Bowen. Yeah. So
right. Again, another Villa player. But you look, all of the clubs there's no. I'm waiting to see. So Jamie Vardy is the only one from the bottom half so far.
Yep. Leno West is Fulham. Decore. Yeah. So the picture is there. Spurs, in theory, are the 6th. If you want to categorize everyone, we're about the 6th team, which is where we are as a positional winner club anyway, right? We're about the 6th or 7th best team in the country.
Would you like to do it by this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're just behind Aston Villa
But it's
in
not. It's
terms
not
of-
massive though, is it? The gap between Villa and Spurs. It's very little. Like if you break down the figures.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look.
Yeah.
So if we look at let's do this. So if we look at Aston Villa pay £130 million per year
Yep.
salary. But you got to remember, some of that was taking Marcus
Rashford.
Rashford's
Yeah. A
loan.
lot of it was Rashford, weren't it? Though, to be fair.
And then Tottenham's was that they had 130 million, and then we've got 115. So
We're talking 15 mil, right? And bear in mind, the only reason why, let's be fair with it, the only reason why Villa are above us because they had to pay a lot of Marcus Rashford's wages. So they paid 225 on that. If you took that figure out, if you took out Rashford's loan, we would be way above Villa's.
So basically, what we're saying is there's 5 clubs essentially above us. Villa, I'll be interested to see if theirs is more than ours next year.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, when people say we don't pay wages, what they mean is we don't do this.
Yeah.
And by the way, look how close
these.
Look how close United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool are.
Yeah.
Liverpool a tiny bit behind, but look at that. That's almost neck and neck, isn't it?
Yes, that's what that looks like. That's what 175. Liverpool's looks like 150, and we're 115.
Let's have a look. Salaries.
You're at the top, no? Change Premier League to the team.
Oh, I could have done that. Yeah, never mind. Hang on. Salaries by club. So Man United, for example. So Man United were at 173.
Yeah, 173.
And then Arsenal were at, they must be similar. Arsenal were at 169.
Yeah, 4 mil in between.
Yeah, 4 mil. So so 4 mil, you're talking about a player who's on about 90 grand a week for a season, right? And the other one was Chelsea, right?
Yep.
So 173, 169, 169. Right. So what we're saying is there, when you break all of that down, I think it's really important that you do that. That we don't pay the wages. We don't pay the wages. We've got enough wages there to be attracting players. I've got no doubt that we've got. So basically, let's have a look at the Premier League. Here you go. Let's look at this. I love this. I think it's really important to do the homework, right?
Oh, 100%. This is the thing, without just saying stuff, actually working out what we're talking about, right? Of course we can pay wages.
So here we go. So of the Premier League table, right, what we know is that of the teams that finished above us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the 16 teams that finished above us don't pay bigger wages.
Newcastle don't pay more than us.
Oh, Newcastle 10. Sorry, so 10 of the 16. So the only 6 is the top 4. Yeah.
Yeah, the top 4. Villa and Man United.
Villa and Man United.
Yeah.
It's yeah, but people don't want to break that down. We don't want to break that down because it goes against the theory that everything is one man's fault.
But this is the problem, right? Hear me out. And this is why I feel like this whole pay the wages nonsense, it is literally nonsense. Because so basically what they're saying is we could offer Kudus 150 grand a week. I'm just plucking a number out there. They would rather us pay 300 grand a week to prove the narrative. I don't get it. Why would you want to go and pay 300 grand a week for Kudus when you could pay 100? Like, it doesn't really make sense. As I said, do you know what? If we were in the position Arsenal are in right now, where we were bridesmaids 2 seasons, we were so close to winning the league. That's the moment when you go, okay, Gyökeres, we'll pay you. Zubamendi, we'll go and get those elite players that can make us better. That's when you go and say, fine, now we're starting to pay players 200 grand a week, 250 maybe. But right now, what player that should be on 200 grand a week comes to Tottenham? Which one? Which player that you pay 200 grand that is objectively a 200 grand a week player comes to Tottenham right now? That's the conversation that needs to have. Who?
No, I completely agree with you. Completely agree. By the way, people are asking what Kudus is on. I think he's on 90. I'm just checking. So Mohamed Kudus is on 90 grand a week. We can afford. But again, people said, oh, won't be able to get that deal done. We won't pay the wages. Ornstein and Romano, them saying personal terms are not a problem. Personal terms are basically done. It's like.
This is the problem, Scott.
Right.
Right now, I'm gonna give you an exercise. I like this. We'll do a bit of homework. This will be good. Name me a player that would come to Tottenham right now if we paid him 200 grand a week. And I don't mean players that we're linked with, that we just want to pay more. A player that is on around about 200 grand a week that goes, I'm coming to Tottenham now because you're paying the wages.
That's a great point. It's a great point. See, this is the thing. When we're saying, I get it. I get it, Scott. I get it, right? But when we're saying there are lots of players we cannot go for, again, this comes down to, do those players want to join Tottenham anyway?
Exactly.
This is the problem. This is what I said. There are so many factors that you get to before you get to salary. As I said before, I have this debate with Danny all the time, and he always says, oh, it's my opinion. But it's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's a fact. Yeah. Players will look at Tottenham Hotspur versus bigger clubs and go, I don't care what Tottenham can pay me. I'm going to join Liverpool. Yeah,
of course.
And I keep using Eze as the example. Right? Everyone just says, go and buy Eze. If Eze wants Arsenal, he's not going to join Tottenham. That's life.
So I'm looking at some of the people in the chat have used their examples. Sancho, Rashford. Now this is how I know that it's a disingenuous conversation. If Spurs went out there and paid 200 grand a week to Rashford and Sancho, you'd all be having a meltdown going, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
you'd all be going, why are we paying for these dross ones? Who else is in this list? Grealish. People were telling me he was crap last week on it. Vlahovic. Right, okay. So we're going to pay 200 grand a week to Vlahovic, just so we can pretend to be a big club. And then he doesn't score loads of goals. You'd all be calling him a flop, right? So this is the problem. This is the whole point of it, right? We want top players, but there's no one in that list that I go, okay, Grealish, I'd say slightly different. I wouldn't look in that list and go, okay, we need to be breaking our wage structure for these players. That's the difference you've got to remember.
Mm. Yeah, by the way, Scott, when you're saying behind Villa, I think a lot of Villas was skewed because of the loans of Asensio and Rashford for the last half of the season.
Rashford on his own has spiked them up that season, by the way. Just Rashford.
You've got to remember that. But by the way, no one's saying we can't do better, but that wasn't the question. The question was, which players are we not getting because of wages? Problem is, Scott, people are making it up that we're not getting these players for wages. When was the last time we were in negotiations, right? And it has come across Spurs didn't get their man. This club offered more salary. I've not seen it. I'm just asking. I'm not saying salary doesn't help, but when are we losing out a player to Villa on wages? When are we losing out on a player to Newcastle for wages? We're not, as far as when was the last time we went toe-to-toe with those clubs for a player? Don't know. Madison with Newcastle?
So Harvey's used the argument of Dybala. Dybala, by the way, wasn't anything to do with his wages. Terms for that were all sorted. The argument where I will get annoyed was about was all down to his image rights and stuff. Now, that's a different conversation. That's a conversation I'll be sitting there going, if the reason was a few million quid because of image rights, then I'll have a go at Daniel Levy for not getting Paulo Dybala over the line. But wages weren't the issue. The personal terms were sorted for Dybala when we went for him. Very different. Very different conversation with Dybala. We were willing to pay 70 million quid for the bloke.
Mr. M, so when two grown-ups have a football conversation and understand football, it means... See, unfortunately, Mr. M, are you one of those people that unless you tune into a YouTube channel and everyone's having a go at each other, it means that it's not a good football conversation?
The irony is we argue about a lot of stuff, by the way. The difference is because But do you know why people don't like it that me and you agree on stuff? Because me and you aren't like this, right? I'm not. It's like I'm not. It's because they want me to come on here and say Mohamed Kudus is crap, and you go, "Oh, he's brilliant." No. We can. If you actually listen to what we say, we don't agree on everything, but what we do, because we're quite in the middle on a lot of it, we actually have nuance and debate. Come on, do better.
I love this. To be fair, Sav, Capology is a load of shite. So now Capology's got all of their. Come on, Matt, Connor. Sorry, Connor. Tell me what's wrong. Here you go. I'm going to show you Spurs. Tell me what's wrong. Tell me a site I should be using that's better. I can't, honestly, when you're on YouTube, you can't get anything right. So Connor, come on, mate. Tell me which site gives me more accurate salaries than Capology. No, Scott, I asked you a simple question. Name me players we've missed out on because of salary. You claimed verbatim that we've missed out on plenty of players because of salary. Who? That's the question I'm asking. Who? If anyone can give me examples, I'm all for it. As I said, last year, when we bid for Doué and we matched the salary of PSG, right? We didn't scrimp out. He wanted to go PSG. When we offered, this is the outrageous thing, by the way. We offered PSG 100% of Mawani's wages, right? Which is £7.5 million a year. Juventus weren't paying any of his wages because they didn't have the money.
I'm not 100% sure that was correct. I did read that, but I think there was an article that actually did say that no, that wasn't 100%. But regardless, anyway, he picked to go to Juventus over Tottenham. The player went, "I want to go here." So it's like, I just don't understand it. I'm still waiting on this point that Spurs missed out on a player because they didn't offer. What people don't realize, by the way, and this is why the education of how transfers work, if Tottenham couldn't pay the wages of a player, we wouldn't be having these conversations on players that we're talking about in the news, because a lot of the time that conversation doesn't become public. For example, let's just think of a random player. Nico Gonzalez, I mentioned him earlier, right? I mentioned Nico Gonzalez. If he's now become, his agents come public and Spurs go to him and say, "Look, we're interested. We want to be involved." And they go, "Well, he wants this amount." And Spurs go, "That's way over our budget. We're not getting involved." So you wouldn't have that conversation. We wouldn't actually be privy to it. So this is what people don't really understand.
This is what I don't get. Look, Scott, you see what you're doing here, right? Is cherry picking two players that have got nothing to do with each other. Spurs, I don't remember us going in for Rashford.
We were never linked with him.
What's Rashford versus Tell got to do with anything? Right? We just paid 10 million. If anything, we paid 10 million to take him on loan. 10 million.
It's probably a bad example on Tell.
But what's that got to do with Rashford? I'm asking you. You're not listening, Scott. You always do this. You don't listen. You said we missed out on players because of salary. Now tell me for fact who we went for and didn't get because of salary. Can't use players we didn't go for. That's like me going, we didn't get De Bruyne instead of Napoli because of wages. I don't remember us going in for De Bruyne, right? Like,
there was not ever any news on that. I think that's where what people need to really, really get there. The thing is, hear me out. There are probably players that we have inquired about that are being priced out of our market, but no one would know about it. I'm not saying it's never happened. It would have happened loads of times. We could have been going, there'll be agents will be going, well, our players around, and they'll go, well, hang on, what are their terms they're looking at? Well, we're looking minimum 200 grand a week. Cool, that's way out of our market. We're not involved. Those conversations happen all the time to all clubs. By the way, this isn't just Tottenham. This will happen to all clubs that will be priced out way before it's public, way before Romano gets these things. I think people need to really, really understand how football transfers work way before it becomes. Just because it's Romano said stuff doesn't mean they're the only transfers going on, right? This is what I think what's happened, right? We see so much stuff Romano puts out that we think that's the only stuff that happens. Hundreds of thousands will go behind the scenes, not spoken about.
Yeah, listen, I think that what I bring it down to what I've always brought it down to. It's more about scouting for me than wages.
Bang on. I've always said
very.
scouting's our
Have
biggest
a look
issue.
at Bruno Guimaraes. Where were we scouting him? Where were we scouting tonight? These are the sort of players that are on less than our best earners, but we didn't scout them. The Embuemos, the Vissers. You know, we could do this game all day long, by the way. You know, I just think it's a lazy. It's a lazy statement to say that it's wages when we're the 7th highest players in the league and normally the 6th, by the way. Villa is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a look and see if Villa was the year before. So,
yeah, that's a good comparison to have, actually.
Payroll the season before. Right. Okay. So here we go. This is the payroll, the season before the one we just had. All right. So you can see here that Villa have had a bigger payroll than us for half a season only.
Yeah.
Right. So you can see there we've had a bigger wage. And I'm guessing if I go back for the 20 years before that, we've got a bigger payroll than Aston Villa. So what we're doing is it's always United, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, right? Those clubs are the top 5 clubs. Now, if we want to talk about we don't pay as much as them, I completely understand it. But also, players are going to pick those clubs over us because they're bigger than us. Like, it's just a kind of, it goes hand in hand. If wages were a problem, why aren't they a problem for Kudus?
Oh, mate, I just think it's really, really stupid. I want to just address something in the chat. Is that okay? Sam, don't fucking say that. I'm going to swear. Leave it out, mate. Just because my partner's in the chat, don't fucking give it the big one, mate. I'm just saying, end of. Full stop. Calling it that as it is, man. None of that, man. From my mother.
Where am I looking?
This one?
Look, Sam, I think, do you know what? I think what's got lost, and unfortunately, I mean, look, if that is you in your picture, you look like a grown man. Every time Perchy and I do a stream together, we try to we've got a balance when we talk. There's a lot of things we disagree on. There's a lot of things we agree on, but we don't shout and scream at each other. Sean and I, Stella and I, are a bit more shouty, screaming at each other, right? But we have a sensible conversation and kind of get to a place with facts and with data. Problem is, as soon as you agree with someone, oh, you're parrots. Like, well, sorry, would you like one of us to just pretend we disagree just so that you can be entertained as a grown man?
The irony is this is what people don't get. We have objective conversation, right? There's certain things that we'll have what people want, as you said, people want that screaming, shouting where everyone's like that on polar opposites. We'll have a conversation and there'll be part of us going, I agree with that part, but I don't agree with that part. Like, we don't agree on everything, but what we do is we have a actual conversation about stuff, right? I just think people don't want that, right?
Scott, I agree to a point, but the players that are going to be on those massive wages, we take ourselves out of it, is normally because they're going to bigger clubs more than anything. You know, as I said, I've just used Mark Guay as the example. A player that is absolutely gettable with wages, but will go to a bigger club in Liverpool. So, and by the way, you've got no idea of knowing who we didn't go for because of salary. Like it's a very made up stat, isn't it? It's a very made up bit of data. Oh, we didn't go for him because he's on 150, 200 grand a week. Well, Son's on that. Romero's on 175.
Yeah, the problem is it's easy, right? It's easy to use that we don't pay wages. Like, it's so I'll be honest, the problem is it's such a boring narrative that is being peddled out without actually being fact checked. It's almost just like saying the sky is green and everyone just agreeing with it. Like, but Alex, no one said about people can't dream about players. No one said that. The point is when people go, we didn't get this player because we didn't pay the wages. It's a lie and it's not true. And I try and portray myself with facts and figures and understand it. Look, I can sit there and dream about us signing Erling Haaland, right? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Alex, you doing Alex, mate? Alex, I can rattle you easily, my friend. Big up to you. I love you to bits. So you're a top boy. Love you.
Yeah, as I said, it is. Scott, this is where we meet in the middle. I think for me, it's about finding those players out there, right? I think there are plenty of players out there in the Italian league who are not being paid these salaries. In the Spanish league, I could do this with all leagues. In the French league, the German league. For me, I think it's about the fact that we've been so poor with our scouting and our identity that is the bigger issue for me. If we were good at that, we wouldn't worry about the salaries.
Yeah. If we were signing gems that were at 40, 50 grand a week, but they were brilliant, we'd all be sitting there going, brilliant, love it. We wouldn't be talking about it. It's because when we're buying players, they're not scouted right. That's the key. I think that is the nail on the conversation that we're having, right? Like, that is the nail of it all. If we scouted better, huh?
Sorry, so Savva, get Paul on. Who's Paul? Who's Paul?
Are you on about Hippie? He's what's that? What's the relevance? Is that basically? Oh, I get it. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking now back. He wants someone so you can have a shouty match with. If you look, I'm not going to talk for you. It's your channel, but if you don't enjoy the sort of conversation that we're having, you don't have to watch, right? Like just because we don't have a screaming match, like that's what it is. Is unfortunately people want just everyone to have a shouting match. I'm not that person, you know me.
There's one person I want to address. This person is always in my channel and has not worked out how I YouTube for 4 years. This is what I love, right? People go, no, and now you've bit the conversation's been disrupted. Just ignore it. I am a very interactive YouTuber, and you always come out with these things. I'm a believer that without viewers, YouTubers don't exist, right? I don't like it when YouTube channels don't interact with their audience unless they pay super chats. I don't like that. That each to their own. I get it. Some channels are massive and have thousands of comments, but I think it's really important to bring up comments I like and comments I don't. Yeah. Right? So when you're saying just ignore it and ban, I'm not going to ban someone for come on, man. Come on. If you want interacting,
my mate Sam in the chat, by the way, he just agrees. So Sam, can I ask you a question? Do you agree with me that we need better scouting? Do you agree that we need better scouting at Tottenham? Yes or no? Simple. Because if you do, then you're just agreeing with everyone.
Bang on. Bang on. Right, Rob, let's look at it another way. These people are always saying Levy doesn't spend on the players and the wages. Look how many are complaining that we might pay 60, 65 million for Kudus. Oh, that's way too much money. These fans don't know what they want, Rob. They want to complain about finances when it suits them, right? It's madness. It's utter madness. Sam, come on. Come on, the show.
Mate. Call me out, brother. I'm game.
No, I'll tell you what. Come on. Debate Perchy. Let's see what you disagree with me on the Perchy.
Yeah, that we do. Come on. I'm up for that one.
Come on.
All I do is agree constantly. I bet everything I say, you'll agree with everything I say, by the way. It's hilarious. Because I'm not one of these. I'm not reactionary. I'm not over the top in my opinions. I'm quite balanced with it all. I think that, do
you know what? It's like, there's so many YouTube viewers now that don't want to watch two grown-ups have a football conversation. They want the pure drama. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a bit of drama, right? My show has plenty of those debates. This is not one of them.
But right? I think equally, you always have to have drama when it's natural, right? Like, I'm not going to sit there and just pretend I disagree with everything that's being said just to have an argument. Like, I think it's a bit silly. Like,
I find it hilarious. By the way, we're only 29 subscribers away now. 29.
It's actually 35 away. You're wrong. It's 35 away.
Not in my YouTube studio. It's not.
Oh, it's not. It's not. It's now 60 away. So you're wrong. You're wrong. Everyone just wants us to argue. So you're wrong.
Mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental. Listen, Chris, I try and engage with everybody, whether I agree with them or not. Still people like Acid Twin moan at me. Like, listen, I think it's really important. Otherwise, you know, it is what it is.
Found a comment I love.
Stating, okay, but it might be bleeding obvious, Jamie, but this is a counter argument to why it's not just wages, right? If having, here you go, let's destroy this wages argument, right, with one sentence. If having the biggest or one of the biggest wages was all it took, why aren't Man United winning trebles and Champions Leagues and league titles every year? That's all I'm going to say, right? That's all I'm going to say. If we have a look, so what year was that? Let's have a look at Man U this year, right? Let's
Yeah, Man United's a great point, by the way. No one actually talks about Man United. If wages was the killer, man.
Yeah. So Man United was what? I think we saw it was 173 million, right?
Yeah.
Man United are the second biggest ego that year. So last year was the second biggest. The year before, the second biggest. 23, 24 was the biggest. So they've had the biggest and the second biggest. Let's go to 22, 23. The biggest. So 2 of the last 3 years, Man United have had the biggest wages in the country. Why haven't they won the league or the Champions League?
Can I flip it as well for you?
Sure. Go for it.
If wages was the reason, why are Brentford bottom in nearly every single one of these and not being relegated?
Right.
If you look at it, if you keep flicking through them, Brentford are anywhere from 17th to 20th, but they keep staying up in the league, right?
So Brentford, there you go. Brentford, the second, look at that. Brentford, the second lowest salary in the Premier League. Why didn't they finish bottom? And this is my whole point. It's not just wages. This is why it's such a lazy argument when people use it. Right? Bournemouth. Look at Bournemouth. This is last season, right? By this metric, Brentford and Bournemouth shouldn't have been where they were. Nottingham Forest. What are they doing up there in 7th in the Premier League?
Yeah.
They're the 5th lowest wages. Brighton. Fulham. Right? Look. It's mad, isn't it?
But this is the point, right? If wages was it was the only parameter that we worked off, then Brentford should have been relegated about 10 times in the league since they've been here. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, but ironically, do you know what it is that what Brentford do? They recruit really well and coached really well.
Yeah, Lubo's giving me some shit in my WhatsApp. I won't read it out, but I'm just going to destroy it with one argument. So why don't Man United win the league? There we go. That's my answer. Everyone just says it's wages. Cool. Why aren't Man United winning the league?
Yeah, 100%. I love this backhanded compliment. I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing. Was since Perchy. Oh, wait, hang on. Can I put this one up?
Yeah, go for it.
Since Perchy's come back from his long sabbatical in the wilderness, he's become a bit more likable. It's a bit of a backhanded compliment. Did you not like me before? And now you kind of like me. I'll take it as a positive. Why not? Let's go with it. Big up, Jamie. Why not, man?
Oh, Jesus.
I like that one.
Am I live streaming the Football Heritage TV barbecue? No. There is a game on, though. There is a game. So I will be doing some sort of, if I can find a stream.
It will be on Spurs Play, no? Isn't that the thing? I don't know.
Yeah, be on Spurs Play. So I might do a watch along for that. That's Reading, isn't it?
Camera up in the corner and have a big screen going. There you go.
Yeah. It's all a bit crazy. I'm leaving unless you two have an argument. Right? Oh,
I'll be honest. I disagree with everything about Savva's biscuit choice. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, my biscuit choice. But look, it is what it is. Honestly, the number of times when Spurs YouTubers, all I ever hear is Levy. It's so, listen, I'm Levy out, but I'm so bored of how much the chairman is talked about. It's just so boring.
I don't hear any other club talk about their chairman as much as we do as well, by the way. Anyway. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, yeah, why have they only just won it? They've paid massive wages for years. This is what I mean. Listen, I'm not dismissing that wages are important. I'm not. But as I've said before, the players that our fans want to beat our wage structure aren't going to necessarily come to us anyway.
Yes.
That's the debate I always have. We've got Son on 200 grand a week. Brilliant. Who is coming in over that wage structure that won't go to a bigger club? That's my argument. And it doesn't, listen, with good scouting, you can do good things. I'll tell you what, let's have a look. What was Poch's best year?
Wait. See, I'm going to say...
Which year did Poch finish second?
Yeah, that's the year I think we was... But that was when we were undefeated in the league, weren't it?
Here we go. Poch finished second in, here we go, 16-17. Right, let's have a look.
Yeah, 16-17. That was the year before we moved out of the stadium, right?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7th best salary then, less than Crystal Palace.
You want to put it up?
Oh, have I not got it in the screen? Oh, sorry, but me. Sorry. There we go. There you go. This is the year we finished second.
Yeah. That's the point, though, isn't it? Right? That's the point there.
This is what I mean. Listen, I'm not saying we can't pay
we had
salary.
We had a smaller wage budget than Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
But my point is this is the point, right? And this is where I'll kind of meet halfway with the conversation. That was the year where you now go and buy a couple of superstars that will be more than 150, 200 grand a week. That was the moment when you go, okay, we're now on the precipice of something great. Now go and do it. This is the point, right? I think this is where people misconstrued the argument. Let's be fair. I'll play this game. If in the next 3 years under Thomas Frank, we're creeping up and we get to a position where we're second or third in the league and we are in a title race for a percentage of the time, and you go, now we need to go and get better players that are a level above. We're an attractive football club now. That's when you have the argument. And if we're not buying that caliber of player, then have the argument with the risk reward of the football club. I don't think you can have the argument right now.
Yeah. Look, I just feel like I get it. I get everyone's frustration, but when people keep talking to me about, Levy hasn't turned us into a title-winning team, when will we ever a title-winning team? Right? Like, what's our God-given right to compete with City and Chelsea, who have got oil money? Like, what's our God-given right to compete with Liverpool and Man United, two of the biggest clubs in the world? I get it. I just think it goes too far. I think it goes so far that it stops becoming about a chairman anymore, and it just becomes about deep-rooted hate. Like, just, I don't know, it just seems just a tiny, just a tiny bit silly. Like the number of shows I watched last year where we lose a game to a team we shouldn't have. And well, if Levy had bought us, and you're like, well, hang on, no, we just lost to Leicester. Like that's not Levy could have bought us.
Let's be fair with it, right? That season, we had a squad that was good enough to win the league that season. In comparison, we had a better squad than Leicester City, and we probably should have done. That wasn't on Daniel Levy that we didn't win that season. That had to be down to us not picking up wins when we should have done, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. Look, hey, it is what it is. Look, I am going to end the show in a couple of minutes. We'll go for a few more comments. Winky Dinky, Savva is ignoring you because Savva reads your comments and can see that you're a troll. It's really that basic. Let's see if I can find one of your comments to see if I'm correct. Here we go. Let's have a look. Let's give Winky Dinky. I'm going to bring Guinness to the barbecue. Okay, good. Winky Dinky. Savva, I'm going to give you a dance battle at the bar. I mean, like, what part of these did you want?
These aren't questions, my friend.
What did you want me to bring these up for?
Oh, he's
we
put
are
one in at
funny.
754, by the way. I think that was the question.
What's that?
754?
754. Let's have a look. I'm still at 752. Bobby, completely agree. Bobby, completely agree. I agree it's the way we conduct ourselves in the market. I don't agree that it's just all on wages. I genuinely don't think it's all on wages. What if we go and buy? What if we got Douglas Luiz and Kudus, but both of them aren't being paid as much as Maddison, Romero, or Son? It's got nothing to do with wages, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely nothing to do with wages. Just means we got. So for me, Bobby, this is where I'll meet in the middle. Yes, the way we've conducted ourselves in the market's been wrong, but at the same time, look how many people, Bobby, and I know you'll agree with me on this. The number of people that use it as an excuse when we do bad were praising it last summer. It's a youth project. Look how good these players are. As soon as we start going wrong, suddenly it's Daniel Levy's fault. And I just feel like the hate is not healthy. Like I feel like it's mad. I don't want him here. He's taken us as far as he can. But every bloody like who was it? I mean, my mate Alex in the chat, not box office, Swedish Alex, wrote in the chat the other day. I said, I don't have to hate everything Levy does. He said, if you don't hate everything Levy does, then you're not really Levy out. And it was like,
what? That's such a weird way of
like so mad. Like you have to hate everything about somebody. It's truly
when that happens, contradictions are showed up massively, don't they? That's the problem, right?
Yeah. But this is one of those shows. It's the What Are We Doing Here podcast. You have the same league titles as Burnley. Listen, everyone keeps talking to me like before Daniel Levy got here. And listen, I don't want him. I'll say it again. Before Levy got here, we were winning league titles. Like listen, I acknowledge where Daniel Levy falls down. Like at the moment, he's doing what he normally does. However, get Kudus, get a good number 6, and suddenly we go, all right, we've done different.
Yes.
That's what I hate. What I can't say is I can't blame him for everything. I can't blame him for players picking bigger clubs than us. I can't blame him for that at all. But people just want to blame him for everything. But yet no credit goes to him. Champions League final. Look at the other day, the Champions League final conversation. No credit for him getting there. But then when we lose it, look at the bench he gave us. Like, imagine your hate is that deep.
But it's when it becomes this is why I always say though, if you're going to blame Daniel Levy for us not winning the Champions League, then by your own metric, you have to thank him for winning the Europa League. You can't. It's silly, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think it's mad. Listen, and again, it is what it is. It is what it is. Look, I want to see him move differently. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, we will. But it doesn't surprise me if we don't. And as I've said, when people say to me, "Oh, so you want him out?" Sure, just show me who's offering us $4 billion, and we'll do it.
That's the difference, right? It's easy for people to say you want him out, but who's got the capital to go and say, "Yep, we're buying this club"? We'll see. People keep the sort of hope about new ownerships, but as I always say, and I'll leave it on this part. I'll always say this about Daniel Levy and the football club. This isn't about an individual change; it's an ideology change, right?
Agreed.
Because Daniel Levy and Enoch have built the blueprint on how to print money. Who's to say that the next person comes in doesn't just say, we'll copy what they're doing? Just saying. That's all I'm going to say on that point.
Yeah, Philly, this is what I don't get. I don't get, like, as I've said, listen, I will knock him for what he's done badly, but you've got to praise him for what he's done good. And I think if you are balanced and say that, then, but you can't possibly want him out. Listen, I want him out. If new owners come in tomorrow, I'm all for it. I'm here. I'm there. I want it to happen. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me quickly look at some super chats. Big up to John Lee. Thank you very much. Just said, Savva, I know we finished 17th last season. This might, stupid question. Are we happy with 9th or 10th finish this season under Thomas Frank? Look, I'm not ever going to start a season and say I'm happy with 9th or 10th at all. what I want to see, John, and Perchy can answer in a second. What I want to see is, first of all, I want to see what do we do in the window. I think that's a very important factor because I think there are 6 or 7 clubs now that are better than us. So I want to see what we do in the window. But ideally, I think that where we are right now with the squad, I think we've got to be looking at getting into 6th, 7th, more 7th. I do think there are 6 better clubs than us. However, a Kudus, a top midfielder, yeah, top defense. Who knows? Suddenly we could look at 6th, pushing 5th, but it's going to be about who we buy. We've got to get better.
No, I think my argument is, let me just sort of read it out again, right? Are we happy with 9th or 10th? Objectively, no. Like, I still think, look, I think what Spurs need to be is in and amongst that top 8 in some capacity, right? As I said, you know my thoughts on it. I said that group between 3rd and sort of 9th last season was so tight for a period. I said, get in that mix first. For me, I think the bigger picture is I wouldn't be I wouldn't be screaming to the decks if we finish 9th or 10th if we had a long cup run, 2 long cup runs, long good experience in the Champions League where we got to maybe a quarters, maybe even a semi-final, and you go, well, hang on, there you go, well, look, we're having to build from all this because we've gone from down here. However, though, I think, and before we've made any signings and stuff like that, I think we will finish, I'm going to say 6th, around 5th or 6th, relatively good cup run and a relatively good performance in the Champions League. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to sit there and say I'm happy with that, but I think I'm okay with that as a starting block. I think we have to treat it like blocks. For me, build from what we've done. We had an absolute shocker in the league last season. Yes, we won a cup, but build from it. I think that's the only way I can answer from that.
Mm. No, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of work to be done at Spurs, as I've said. And if we've finally got a coach that's going to implement a strategy and a structure, it's not all going to happen in 1 year. Thank you very much, John. Really appreciate that. Big up to Paul Watkins as well, who's putting a super sticker. Very, very generous, Paul. Hope to see you tomorrow, mate, for the 4 p.m. members only show. Big up to you, mate. Really appreciate that. For any of you that haven't subscribed, please do. In my YouTube studio, it's telling me that we are 29 away. Perchy will pretend that it's different, but I'm guessing my YouTube, what you see versus what I see in my background. I don't know.
I was only taking the mic because we have to argue all the time. We have to disagree on everything.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. I am going to send you over to Lee Gunner, who is live for his 1000th emergency meeting of the day. When you get over there, please type in Savva Raid. Let him know that you've all come from here and be nice. He is one of the best content creators out there. So take care, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow's show will be at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. purely because I'm doing some videos. I'm doing some filming in the morning. I would never do the hot chip challenge. That is just
why would you
ridiculous.
do that to yourself?
I love the way that you're backing your guy and then putting him on such a low as 10 goals.
Yeah. However, though, I kind of partly want to do it thinking if he doesn't, just to see Phil Coys live on camera doing it. That would be a viewing. I mean, I remember when Henry did it and I was like, that's wild.
He backed this guy. He wanted this guy signed desperately. The guy signed. Back him. 10 goals is crap. Back him. Back him. Guys, girls, Savva Raid, Interleague Gunner Stream. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.